I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd pay their own parents a weekly allowance. But here I was, every Friday, sending $700 straight into their joint account. It started with love, gratitude, and a bit of guilt. My parents weren't rich. My father retired early after his back injury, and my mother stayed home taking care of him. I was their only child, and after years of watching them struggle to give me everything, I felt it was my turn to give back. I wasn't rich either, but I was doing well enough. I had a steady job as a logistics manager, a beautiful wife named Amanda, and a 6-year-old daughter, Sophie, who was the center of my universe. I worked long hours, sometimes missing bedtime stories, but I made sure to make up for it every weekend. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable, and stability was something I'd craved since childhood. When I first started giving them the money, my mom resisted. "You don't need to do this, honey," she said over the phone. We're fine, but she wasn't fine. Their roof was leaking, their bills piled up, and my father's medications weren't cheap. So I insisted, "It's not charity, Mom, it's appreciation. You did so much for me, just let me do something for you now." She sighed. That mix of pride and surrender I knew too well. "All right," she said, "but only until we get back on our feet." That was 3 years ago. Every week since then I'd send $700, no questions asked. Birthdays, Christmas, even during times I was tight on cash, I never missed a payment. I thought of it as my way of saying thank you, for all the nights they stayed up worrying about me, for every meal they skipped so I could eat. But then one day, I realized something I never expected. Gratitude doesn't always go both ways. It started small. Little things. Missed calls. Excuses about being too tired to visit. My mom used to video chat Sophie every Sunday. Lately, she'd just send a short text. "Love you both, busy today." My dad would occasionally pop in with a, "Tell Sophie Grandpa says hi." That was it. At first, I brushed it off. They were getting older. Maybe they just needed rest, but it nagged me, especially because I noticed something strange. When I'd send the weekly transfer, they'd always text back within minutes. "Got it, thank you, sweetheart." But when I sent pictures of Sophie or tried to plan visits, they'd suddenly go quiet. Amanda noticed it too. "Do you feel like they've been distant lately?" she asked one evening while we cleaned up after dinner. I shrugged, avoiding her eyes. "Maybe they're just tired." She leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "They've missed 3 weekends in a row. You said they love spending time with Sophie." "They do," I said quickly, but I wasn't sure anymore. Sophie's birthday was coming up in 2 weeks. She was turning 7, a big deal to her. She'd been counting down since March. Every day she'd tell us who she wanted to invite, what kind of cake she wanted, what color balloons. "And Grandma and Grandpa have to come," she said, eyes glowing. "Grandma promised to bring me the sparkly pink shoes from the mall." "She'll be there," I told her confidently. They wouldn't miss it, I meant it too. My parents adored Sophie. I couldn't imagine them missing her birthday. But when I called them to remind them about the date, my mom's tone was hesitant. "Oh, that's next Saturday, right?" "Yeah," I said, surprised she didn't sound more excited. "We're having it at the park by the lake. There'll be food, games. Sophie's been talking about it nonstop." "That sounds lovely," she said slowly. "I'll have to check with your dad, dear. He hasn't been feeling great lately." I frowned. "Is it his back again? Or his blood pressure?" "Just tired," she said quickly. "He's fine. But let me see how he feels next week, okay?" "Okay," I said, though something about her voice made me uneasy. She wasn't being distant, she was being vague. That wasn't like her. The week went by, busy as always. Between work and birthday preparations, I didn't have much time to dwell on it. Sophie made hand-drawn invitations. Amanda ordered decorations. And I spent Friday night assembling a pink and white play tent in the living room. Saturday morning came, bright and breezy. We arrived at the park early to set up. Amanda's sister helped with the food, and soon the place was full of laughter, music, and children running around. Sophie wore her little princess dress, her hair tied with ribbons, her cheeks flushed with joy. But as the hours passed, I kept checking my phone. No call, no text, nothing. "They probably just got delayed," Amanda said, noticing my restless glances. "Maybe traffic?" "Maybe," I muttered. By 4 p.m., the party was winding down. Sophie sat on the picnic blanket, surrounded by gifts, her smile dimming. "Are Grandma and Grandpa still coming?" My chest tightened. "They must have had car trouble, sweetheart," I said gently. They'll call soon. But they didn't. Not that day, not the next. 2 days later, I called them. No answer. I texted my mom, "Everything okay? Sophie missed you at her party." She replied 3 hours later, "Sorry, honey. We couldn't make it." Something came up. I stared at the screen, disbelief rising in my throat. Something came up. That was it? No apology, no explanation? I called her immediately. This time she answered, her voice calm, almost detached. "Hi, sweetheart. Mom, what happened? You said you'd come to Sophie's birthday." "I know," she said softly. "We wanted to, but we couldn't." "Why?" I demanded. "You didn't even call." She hesitated. "We had plans." "Plans?" I repeated, my pulse quickening. "With who?" "Just some friends," she said, her tone awkwardly defensive. "It was a dinner we couldn't cancel." I blinked. "A dinner you couldn't cancel?" "Mom, it was Sophie's birthday." "I know, honey. Please don't make this into a big thing." "A big thing?" I said, my voice breaking. "You missed your granddaughter's birthday for a dinner?" "It's not that simple." "Then explain it to me." I snapped. "I pay you guys every week. I've never complained, never asked for anything. And when the one day comes that actually means something to my family, you just skip it?" Silence. Finally, she sighed. "We didn't ask you to send that money, you know." My chest went cold. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It's just, it feels like you're keeping score sometimes," she said carefully. "We appreciate your help, but that doesn't mean we have to show up for everything." "Keeping score?" I repeated, stunned. "I give you $700 a week because I want to help. Because you're my parents, and you can't even be bothered to show up for your granddaughter's birthday?" "I'm sorry if you're hurt," she said quietly. "But we needed some time for ourselves." I felt like the ground had dropped from under me. "Time for yourselves?" I whispered. "Mom, I'm not asking for anything extravagant. Just show up for your family. For Sophie." "She's young," she said dismissively. "She'll understand when she's older." "No," I said firmly. "She won't, because I don't understand it now." She didn't reply. That night I told Amanda everything. She didn't say "I told you so," though I could see the anger in her eyes. "You've been paying them every week and they can't even make an effort?" she said, voice trembling. "That's unbelievable." I sat there staring at my phone. The last message from my mom still unread. We needed some time for ourselves. What did that even mean? A week passed before I finally found out. I went to visit them unannounced. They lived about an hour away, in a quiet neighborhood of small aging houses. When I pulled into their driveway, I noticed a brand new SUV parked outside. My dad had never mentioned buying a car. I knocked. My mom opened the door, startled. "Oh, you didn't tell us you were coming." "Yeah," I said, trying to smile. "Wanted to surprise you, but the surprise was on me." The living room looked newly furnished. Leather couch, modern TV, even a glass coffee table. Gone were the old recliners and faded curtains. Everything looked fresh, expensive. My mom caught my expression. "We decided to redecorate," she said quickly. The old stuff was falling apart. "With what money?" I asked quietly, already knowing the answer. She bristled. "That's not a fair question." "It's a pretty fair one," I said, my voice tightening. "I've been sending you money to help with bills, not this." She crossed her arms. "We wanted to enjoy our lives a little. We're not getting any younger." I turned toward my dad, who sat in the recliner, the only old piece of furniture left. "Dad, did you know about this?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Your mom wanted to treat herself," he muttered. "You work hard." We thought, why not use some of it to make things nicer? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you skipped Sophie's birthday to have dinner with friends, while sitting on furniture I paid for?" My mom's face hardened. "You're making it sound ugly." "It is ugly." I snapped. "You're treating my help like it's an ATM. Do you have any idea how that feels?" Her lips thinned. "You don't understand, Daniel. You've always had everything handed to you. You don't know what it's like to finally breathe." That hit me like a slap. "Everything handed to me?" "Mom, I worked my way up from scratch." "You think I got lucky? I worked 70-hour weeks for years. And while you're out there finally breathing, your granddaughter is crying because you didn't show up." My voice cracked on the last word. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. My dad finally spoke quietly. "Maybe you should stop sending the money if it makes you feel this way." My breath caught. "What?" "You've done enough," he said, his voice oddly calm. "We'll manage." I stared at them both, a mix of anger and heartbreak twisting in my gut. You mean that? Yes, my mom said, almost defiantly. We don't want you to think you're buying our time or attention. I swallowed hard, my throat burning. I never wanted to buy anything, I said softly. I just wanted you to care. Neither of them said a word. That was the day I stopped sending money. They didn't call that week. Or the next. Not even to ask why. And the silence, we were that quiet, empty silence, told me more than words ever could. For weeks I tried to move on. I focused on work, on Sophie, on anything but the emptiness I felt. But Sophie noticed. Kids always do. Daddy, she said one night, why didn't Grandma come to my birthday? I hesitated, trying to find the right words. She was busy, sweetheart, she frowned. Too busy for me? My heart broke. No, I whispered, pulling her close. Never too busy for you. But inside I knew the truth, and they had been too busy. And something about that realization hardened me. I'd spent years being the dutiful son, the provider, the peacemaker. And for what? To be taken for granted. To watch my daughter's heart get broken because her grandparents were too selfish to care. Amanda was right when she finally said it. Stop giving your energy to people who don't value it. Blood doesn't make you family, and effort does. That sentence stuck in my head for days. And then something happened that changed everything. A few months later, I got a call from a mutual family friend, Mrs. Bennett, who lived 2 houses down from my parents. Daniel, she said, her voice hesitant. I didn't know if I should tell you this, but I thought you should know. Your parents. They've been talking about moving. Moving, I asked, startled. To where? Florida, she said. They bought a condo down there. They told everyone they're planning to retire early. My grip tightened around the phone. Bought a condo? With what money? She hesitated. They said they had some savings, but, well, everyone knows you've been helping them. I just thought you should know. I hung up slowly, my heart pounding. A condo in Florida. New furniture. A new car. All while telling me they were struggling. All while skipping their granddaughter's birthday. That was the moment something inside me snapped. Not out of revenge, but out of resolve. If they wanted to live their own lives, fine. But not on my dime. And not while pretending to care. I realized it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about respect. And now it was time for me to get it, in my own way. I didn't confront them right away. I needed time, not to cool down, but to think clearly. Anger was easy. Understanding was harder. But the more I reflected, the more I saw things as they were. They hadn't just used me for money. They'd used my guilt. They'd turned my love into a transaction. And when I stopped paying, they stopped pretending. I told Amanda everything about the condo in Florida. She was sitting on the couch folding laundry. But when I said the words, her hands froze midair. You're kidding, she said quietly. I wish I was. She looked at me for a long moment and then said something I didn't expect. Then let them go. What? You've been holding on to an idea of them. Not who they are, but who you want them to be. You keep paying, calling, trying, because you hope one day they'll turn back into the parents you remember. But that's gone, Daniel. Let them go. I didn't respond right away. I didn't want to believe that. Letting them go felt like giving up. On my family, on everything they once meant to me. But Amanda was right. I wasn't getting parents back. I was just feeding people who had learned that I'd never stop giving. A few weeks later, I found out through the same neighbor, Mrs. Bennett, that they had officially sold their house. They didn't even tell me. She sent me a text with a photo of the moving truck in their driveway. It hurt. It burned, actually. I hadn't just lost parents. I'd lost the illusion that we were close, but as life does, it kept moving. Sophie started 2nd grade. Amanda got a promotion at work, and I tried to focus on building something stronger, something that didn't rely on people who saw love as currency. Months passed. I didn't call my parents, and they didn't call me. The silence had turned from painful to strangely peaceful. For the first time in years, I wasn't calculating transfers or feeling obligated. It was quiet, and that quiet gave me room to breathe. Then one day my dad called. It was a Wednesday afternoon, about 6 months after they'd moved. His name flashed on my phone, and for a moment I didn't recognize it. My hands went cold as I answered. Hey, I said cautiously. Daniel, he said. His voice sounded thinner, older somehow. How are you? I'm fine. How about you? Doing okay, he said. There was a pause, a long one. We're settled in now. Florida's different. Yeah, I heard. He cleared his throat. Listen, your mom wanted me to call. She's been thinking a lot lately about how things ended. I said nothing. She feels bad. He continued. We both do. Maybe we handled things poorly. Poorly? I repeated. You lied to me, Dad. You took my money and bought a condo. You skipped your granddaughter's birthday. You didn't even tell me you were moving. That's not poorly, that's betrayal. He sighed. You're right. We messed up. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was such a small sentence for something that had caused so much pain. I'm not calling to fight, he said. We miss you. I didn't believe him. Maybe he meant it. Maybe he didn't, but something in his tone was off. Careful, measured. Like he was leading to something else. What do you need, Dad? I asked bluntly. Silence. Then a soft sigh. We might need some help financially. There it was. I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. Help, you mean money? It's just temporary, he said quickly. Some medical bills came up and... Stop, I said. My voice came out colder than I expected. Just stop. Daniel. No. You don't get to come back into my life only when you need something. You made your choice. You wanted independence? You got it. Enjoy Florida. I hung up. Amanda found me sitting at the kitchen table afterward, staring at the phone. I told her what happened. She didn't say much. She just reached out and squeezed my hand. That night, as I tucked Sophie into bed, she looked up at me with those big, curious eyes. Daddy, when's Grandma coming to visit again? I hesitated. I'd been dodging that question for months. But this time, I decided to tell the truth, or at least enough of it. I don't know, sweetheart, I said softly. Grandma and Grandpa are living far away now. Sometimes when people move, it's hard for them to visit. She nodded slowly. Do they still love me? That question nearly broke me. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. They just show it in different ways. She thought for a moment. I think I'll make them a drawing anyway, she said brightly. Then they'll remember me. I kissed her forehead and whispered, they could never forget you. But I knew the truth they already had, in their own way. Over the next few weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about my dad's call. Not because of the money, but because of what it revealed. They didn't miss me. They missed the security I gave them. They'd built their comfort on my effort. And when it ran out, they came crawling back, not out of love, but out of need. That realization didn't make me angry anymore. It made me clear. I decided to make one final move, and not revenge exactly, but closure. I called my accountant and explained the situation. We'd set up automatic transfers to my parents for years. Even though I'd stopped months ago, I wanted to make sure nothing remained linked to them. No shared accounts, no co-signed documents. He found one. A small investment account I'd set up years back under my name but with their access. I asked him to transfer the remaining balance to my primary account and close it. It wasn't much, just under $20,000, but it felt symbolic. The last tie. That night I wrote my parents a message. Short but honest. Mom, Dad, I hope you're both doing okay. I've thought a lot about what happened, and I've come to understand that we see family very differently. I don't hold hatred, but I can't keep giving to people who see my help as a duty rather than love. I need to protect my own family now. My wife, my daughter, my peace. I wish you both well. Daniel, I sent it, read it once more, then deleted their numbers. 2 months passed without a word. No calls, no texts. For the first time in years, my phone felt lighter. My mind, too. Life began to shift in subtle ways. I had more time for Sophie. We'd go biking every weekend, cook pancakes on Sundays, and I started taking her to school every morning, something I'd missed because I was always working extra hours to afford everything, including the payments I no longer made. Amanda noticed it, too. You're different, she said one morning as we sipped coffee on the porch. Calmer, happier. I feel like I got a piece of myself back, I admitted, and I meant it. I wasn't just free from financial strain. I was free from emotional manipulation. A few weeks later, I received an email. It was from my mother. The subject line said, "We're sorry." I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Daniel, your father told me about your message. I've been wanting to write, but I didn't know what to say. You were right. We were selfish. I think in trying to finally enjoy our lives, we forgot who helped make that possible. We never meant to hurt you or Sophie, we just wanted to feel like we had control again. After your dad's injury and after all those years struggling, it felt good to finally live a little. But we took it too far. I know we can't undo what we did. I just want you to know we're sorry, truly. I read it 3 times. Then a 4th. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just sat there, letting it sink in. Apologies are strange. They don't erase the past, but they do change how it sits inside you. For the first time, I felt like maybe there was a small crack in the wall between us. I wrote back a few days later. Mom, I appreciate your message. I'm glad you reached out. I forgive you. Not because what happened didn't hurt, but because I don't want to carry that pain anymore. I think we all need space right now. Maybe one day, when things are different, we can rebuild something new. But it'll have to be based on honesty this time, not money. Take care of yourselves. Daniel, she never replied, and that was okay. Months turned into a year. Life moved forward. Sophie grew taller, more curious, more radiant. She didn't ask about her grandparents much anymore. She'd accepted the quiet truth of their absence in the way only children can. Not with resentment, but with resilience. And then, one day, a letter arrived in the mail. Handwritten, addressed in my father's unmistakable scrawl, inside was a photo, Sophie as a baby in my mom's arms, and a short note. Son, we're proud of you. You were always stronger than us. We didn't see it before. Love, Dad, I sat there for a long time staring at that photo. It wasn't forgiveness that filled me, and it was understanding. My parents weren't evil. They were flawed, frightened people who made selfish choices. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to fix them or chase their approval. I put the photo in Sophie's scrapbook, right between her first birthday and her first day of school. It belonged there, a piece of the story, but not the whole of it. That night, as I tucked Sophie into bed, she looked up at me and smiled. You're the best daddy ever, she said sleepily. I kissed her forehead. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. As I turned off the light, I realized something simple but powerful. Family isn't about who you pay for or who you're born to. It's about who shows up, and I was finally showing up for the people who truly mattered.